Sometimes peace isn't something you find. It's something you uncover when the noise fades. We spend our lives trying to fill our minds with plans, fears, and dreams, but the only way to truly live is to empty it. This is the story of Saki, a woman who climbed a mountain not to seek answers, but to learn how to let go. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by rolling hills and whispering bamboo, there lived a young woman named Saki. Though kind and intelligent, her mind was never still. She thought endlessly about the past, about the future, about things that might happen but never did. Her heart longed for peace, yet her thoughts clung to her like shadows she could not escape. Every day, as she walked to the river or tended her small garden, her mind buzzed with noise, worries, regrets, plans, and fears. At night, even in her dreams, she felt the weight of her restless thoughts. The villagers often said, "Saki has a good heart, but her mind never sleeps." And deep down, Saki knew it was true. One evening, as she sat beneath the old plum tree, an elder traveler stopped by her home. He spoke of a Zen master who lived on a distant mountain, a man said to hold the secret of inner stillness. "He teaches those who seek peace," the traveler said, "but the journey is not easy." That night, Saki lay awake, staring at the stars through her window. Something stirred within her, a quiet determination. If peace truly exists, she thought, then I must find it. The next morning, before the sun had risen, she packed a small bundle of food, bowed to her village, and began the long climb toward the mountain. Days passed. The path grew steeper, the air thinner. She crossed streams, forests, and silent valleys, driven by a single hope, to quiet the storm inside her. When Saki finally reached the mountain's peak, she found the Zen master sitting beneath a pine tree, eyes closed, his face calm as still water. She bowed deeply and said, "Master, I have come seeking your wisdom. My mind is never at peace. It is filled with thoughts that never rest. Please teach me how to empty my mind." The master opened his eyes and looked at her with a gentle smile. "Empty your mind, you say?" he replied softly. "Very well, I will teach you." He led Saki to a courtyard with a beautiful garden. In its center stood a large stone basin, filled to the brim with clear water. Next to it was a small wooden bowl, simple, ordinary, and clearly too small to hold what the basin contained. The master handed her a ladle and said, "Your task is to empty the basin into this small bowl, but you must not spill a single drop." Saki looked at him in disbelief. How could she possibly transfer all the water from the large basin into such a tiny bowl? But she nodded, accepting the challenge. Hour after hour, Saki scooped the water carefully, pouring each ladle into the small bowl. But no matter how much she poured, the basin seemed just as full as before. The more she tried, the more her frustration grew. Her hands trembled, her thoughts raced. Why isn't it working? What am I doing wrong? The master watched silently from a distance, his gaze calm, compassionate. As the sun began to set, Saki's body ached and her spirit sank into exhaustion. Finally, she stopped and dropped the ladle beside the basin. "Master," she said, her voice trembling, "I cannot do it. No matter how hard I try, the basin never empties." The Zen master approached her and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "My dear Saki," he said quietly, "you are trying so hard to empty the basin, yet you have forgotten the first and most important step." She looked up confused. "What step, master?" He smiled. "To empty the basin," he said, "you must first empty your mind." Saki frowned softly, unsure of what he meant. "How can I empty my mind?" she asked. "Let go," the master said. "Let go of your worries, your fears, and your need to control. Focus only on what is before you, this very moment. Be here completely, and everything else will follow." Saki closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She released her frustration, her doubts, her self-judgment. Slowly, her racing thoughts began to fade, like clouds drifting across a clear sky. When she opened her eyes, the world seemed different, clearer, quieter. She picked up the ladle once more, but this time she did not hurry. She moved gracefully, without thought of finishing or failing. Each scoop of water became a small act of mindfulness, sound, rhythm, breath, silence. As she worked, she entered a state of peaceful flow. Her movements grew effortless, her heart light. The basin, once endless, now seemed to empty itself, as if responding to the stillness within her. When the final drop of water left the basin, Saki stood still, her hands trembling with quiet awe. She turned to the Zen master, who smiled knowingly. "You see, Saki," he said, "when you empty your mind, you do not lose yourself. You make space for the universe to flow through you. When your mind is still, even the impossible becomes possible." Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness but from understanding. She bowed deeply. "Thank you, Master. I understand now." From that moment, something awakened inside her. She realized that peace was never somewhere far away. It was not hidden in mountains or temples or the words of any teacher. It had always been within her, waiting to be remembered. Days later, Saki descended the mountain. The same path she once struggled to climb now felt lighter beneath her feet. She noticed the rustle of the leaves, the sparkle of dew on the grass, the scent of pine in the morning air. Nothing around her had changed, but she had. When she returned to her village, people gathered to ask, "What did the Zen master teach you?" Saki smiled and said, "He taught me nothing new. He simply reminded me of what was always inside me, the silence I had forgotten to hear." That night, she sat by her window as the moon rose above the hills. The world outside was still, and so was her heart. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, not to escape her thoughts, but to embrace the quiet between them. And in that silence, she felt it again, the gentle truth that had guided her home. Peace is not found by running from the world, but by being fully present within it. To empty your mind is not to erase thought. It is to release attachment. When you let go of the noise, you rediscover the stillness that was always there. In stillness, life flows naturally, and peace becomes your true nature.